The season finale begins with Prince Durin investigating what's going on with his dad. His father is mining with a battering ram, and its reverberations are waking the Balrog. Prince Durin threatens to cut off his father's hand, but doesn't, and the king finishes the ramming, which reveals potentially tons of mithril. The Balrog makes his appearance, and whips the king in the leg, but chooses not to pull him into the void, and instead only pulls him a few feet. This makes King Durin take off his ring. King Durin then decides to jump to his death fighting the Balrog, as though this will fix all of his mistakes. And is that all we're going to get in regard to the Balrog? The mine caved in, so are we going to see the Balrog destroy Moria? Or are we going to cut to a destroyed Moria? The showrunners have teased the Balrog since Season 1, and was that it? Will we see the Balrog again? Gandalf is in the desert and finds a horse with the leper's marking, and it turns out he's arrived at the incest hobbit village that's been abandoned off-screen. So I guess he abandoned his search for a staff, ignored Tom Bombadil, and came looking for Nori. Saruman arrives and confirms that he and Gandalf are 2 of the 5 wizards. Saruman also says it was Gandalf who convinced him to go east to find the knowledge that would lead to Sauron's defeat. Now, neither Gandalf or Saruman say each other's names. Saruman just calls Gandalf old friend. The lepers appear with Nori and Poppy. Saruman kills the lead leper and the others run away. Then all the other hobbits emerge. The Gunt calls Saruman Dark Wizard, and Saruman defends himself, saying he just saved Nori and Poppy from the knife-wielding leper. The hobbits don't care, as Nori has pity for the dead leper. Saruman then rambles about how pity will not defeat Sauron, as though these stupid incest cannibals have any idea who Sauron is. Gandalf then starts arguing with Saruman about the potentiality for Saruman to become Sauron's successor, which ends in Saruman destroying the hobbits' holes and raining boulders down from the sky, killing a few cannibals as the rest flee. Back in Numenor, Pharazôn claims Miriel is an ally of Sauron, and that all of the faithful are declared traitors. Iarion decides this is too far and goes to warn her father. And then, holy fuck, Elendil confirms he has another son, Anarion. Elendil tries to convince Miriel to leave with him, but she refuses. And, oh my fucking god, she gives him Narsil, and its design looks like shit. I think this is supposed to be reminiscent of Aragorn receiving Anduril, but obviously it is a pale imitation. Did the showrunners just get the rights for Anarion this season? If so, why wait until the finale to mention him by name? Back in Eregion, the orcs are fighting their way through the city. Galadriel is still here, even though she said she would leave when it was still dark, to take the 9 rings far away. Apparently Adar's orcs knew of the secret escape tunnel and are waiting for Galadriel. Galadriel immediately offers them the 9 rings in exchange for these elven peasants to live, and before the orcs answer, we are back to the now arrow-riddled Celebrimbor being shot by Sauron. There's then a couple of decent lines from Celebrimbor, which really shows the potential of a Lord of the Rings show set in the Second Age, but then they are ruined by the rest of the dialogue in the scene. Sauron then kills Celebrimbor and tries to cry as Glug enters. Even though Glug looked like he deserted the battle at the end of the last episode, no, here he is. We are then in Pelargir with Isildur and Theo. They talk about their dead mothers, then Estrad enters. Isildur and Estrad then kiss, like they properly snog. Then Isildur invites her to Numenor. Kemen has now teleported to Pelargir, and I'm guessing Isildur will kill him in revenge for Valandil. Isildur and Kemen meet, and Kemen makes a comment about cutting down trees for timber, so I guess the Ents will kill him instead. Back to the outskirts of Eregion, the orcs bring Galadriel to Adar. Adar is wearing Galadriel's ring and has been healed, like he looks like a regular elf now. Adar, having seen his old appearance, now wants to honour his alliance with Galadriel. Adar takes off the ring and returns to his orc appearance, as a wounded Glug is brought in. Glug then stabs Adar, and all the other orcs join in. Sauron arrives, picks up Morgoth's crown, and orders the orcs to destroy Eregion. The orcs leave, and then Sauron and Galadriel fight, but we cut back to Eregion with a captured Gil-galad and Elrond. Arondir is brought in, alive, looking almost unharmed. Galadriel and Sauron are still fighting, with really bad fight choreography. Sauron then turns into Halbrand and Galadriel and Celebrimbor mid-fight to taunt Galadriel, and then stabs Galadriel with Morgoth's crown. Sauron takes the 9 rings, and the dwarves then arrive. Arondir, somehow completely healed after being stabbed twice, then starts slaughtering orcs, as does Gil-galad and Elrond. Sauron commands Galadriel to hand over her ring, but Galadriel jumps off a cliff. She'll be fine. Sauron then kills Glug in rage, and Gil-galad, Elrond and Arondir find Galadriel. Gil-galad claims the wound from Morgoth's crown is making Galadriel's soul pass into the realm of shadow. Yeah, just like when Frodo is stabbed at Weathertop. Gil-galad tries to save her with his ring, but it doesn't work, so Elrond puts on Galadriel's ring, but we cut away to Nori. The surviving incest hobbits are rummaging through the rubble. Poppy starts talking about loss, and we see Durin and Disa mourning the dead king, Elrond leaving a destroyed Eregion, Theo in Pelagia, Isildur sailing away, Miriel in chains, Elendil leaving Numenor like in his Palantir vision, and Sauron standing with Feanor's hammer. Wait, so did Isildur just leave with Kemen? Is Kemen not going to be killed by Ents? Anyway, Nori and Poppy are with Gandalf, and fucking Merrimack calls him Grand Elf.
Thank you kindly, Grand Elf.
And then the fucking Gunt calls him Grand Elf as well.
Goodbye, Grand Elf.
Gandalf ponders the name Grand Elf, and Nori is back to wearing berries and leaves and shit in her hair. Nori indicates that she's leaving with the Gunt, and walks off. Is that it? Is that the end of Nori and Gandalf together? Gandalf then wanders through the rubble and finds a staff, then walks off by himself. So have Gandalf and Nori properly separated? They split over like nothing. Nothing tore them apart. I don't care enough to think about the why. Anyway, Gandalf returns to Tom Bombadil, even though Tom Bombadil said he could never return, and Gandalf remembers his name.
Gandalf.
So they did get the rights for this season. Then what was the fucking point of calling him the Stranger the whole season? You could have been calling him Gandalf this whole time? Revealing his name with 12 minutes left in the season finale is worse than calling him the Stranger the whole season, because the writers truly believe that the mystery box of "ooh, what's his name?" is a satisfying reveal that the obviously Gandalf is indeed Gandalf. Anyway, Tom and Gandalf start singing, and we cut back to Saruman staring at the stars, briefly, before cutting back to Moria. Na'vi tells Durin Elrond made it out of Eregion. Durin promises to aid the elves, but the bitch Disa says Moria has their own problems. Galadriel wakes in what I assume is the foundations for Rivendell. Arondir, Gil-galad and Elrond don't know whether they should march out to fight Sauron or to defend their own lands. Galadriel makes a speech that doesn't really advocate for either option, and Gil-galad then waves his sword around, and the season ends. So I was right about the Balrog. We did not see it again, so all that build-up, just for a minute of screen time, where it yelled for a bit and killed King Durin off screen. Will we be seeing it again in Season 3, or will we never see it ever? Remember when I jokingly called this spider Shelob? Well, Isildur's actor confirmed that this spider was actually Shelob. And what was Sauron's plan? At the end of Season 1, Sauron walks triumphantly into Mordor, but immediately turns himself into Adar, and tells Adar Sauron was last seen in Eregion. Adar lets Sauron go, and Sauron then teleports to Eregion, where he blasts this bridge with lightning magic he never uses again, then wakes the Barrow-wights to kill Gil-galad's messenger. Once in Eregion, he turns into Anatar to get Celebrimbor to make rings specifically for dwarves and men, but now he's on a time limit, as Adar is coming with his army to kill Sauron. Sauron hasn't made the One Ring yet, so he can't just dominate the orcs, and he only wins Glug over to his side because Glug hates Adar, because of Adar's battle tactics. which Sauron could not know would happen, nor could he know an impressionable Glug would find his way to Sauron. And if not for Adar's orcs capturing Galadriel at the secret tunnel, Sauron would have lost the Nine Rings for Men. His entire plan is so insane, and it's so contrived that it actually works in Sauron's favour. And what happened with Sauron being a Walter White-esque character this season? He did nothing Heisenberg-y, and the Mike Ehrmantraut troll did nothing Mike Ehrmantrauty. What a fucking letdown, I had so many jokes prepared. And what was the point of Kemen arriving in Pelagia? Isildur did not kill him, and his line about needing timber did not lead to him getting killed by ants. So why was time wasted on that? I was going to mention the White Tree of Numenor, but then Isildur sailed back, so I won't bother yet. I'll save that for Season 3. Yes, the showrunners want 5 seasons of Rings of Power, and I hope they get it. As spiritually painful as this has been, it has also been incredibly fun. I'm assuming Season 3 will have Sauron forge the One Ring, then get captured and taken to Numenor, culminating with the sinking of Numenor and the rounding of the Earth. They forced in some elf hatred from Pharazôn, so his next seasonal hatred of elves won't seem jarring when he wants to sail to Valinor to attack. I guess Season 4 will be the fallout of Numenor, and the founding of Gondor and Arnor. And Season 5 will be the War of the Last Alliance, where Galadriel and Iarion will take up the shards of Narsil, and as Iarion stabs Sauron in the back of the knee, Galadriel will cut the ring from Sauron's finger. Isildur will steal it and immediately go full Gollum. He will be lured to Mount Doom, but will flee, knocking Iarion into the volcano. Now, I was going to assume he would then be killed by the Mike Ehrmantraut troll, but the troll died last episode, so I guess he'll be killed by a new Mike Ehrmantraut orc, or a fucking Uncle Jack orc, or whatever Breaking Bad character is most recently on Simon Tolkien's mind. And then the Rings of Power will end, with billions of dollars wasted and Amazon's reputation in tatters. All for a show that will be immediately forgotten by all.
楽しかったよ。元気でね。じゃあまたね。うん、またね。ザイン様の時もそうでしたけど、ずいぶんあっさり別れますね。また会った時に恥ずかしいからね。何ですか？それは。